Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Alex Robart. I'm a white man wearing a white shirt and a blue sweater with a green background. I'm the Global Strategy Leader for Energy and Sustainability at Microsoft.
And I'm Brandon Potter, Head of Product for the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. I'm a white man wearing a plaid shirt with a green plant behind me.
As most of you are probably already aware, we're facing a global climate crisis. We have an extraordinary challenge in front of us to stabilize our climate by building a net zero carbon economy. Momentum is building towards that goal, but the world needs bold ambition if we're going to collectively deliver. It's my privilege to share part of our vision for the future of sustainability solutions with you today. We believe that this solution will help to mainstream a more data-driven approach to carbon data capture, management, measurement, and ultimately reduction. But first, let's talk about why now is the time. Pressure is all around us. In a recent study, 60% of consumers said that they would pick a lower impact brand given the choice, and this number is rising. In another study, 71% of institutional investors agree that there must be increased action on climate change. And lastly, governments and regulators around the world have passed new and proposed regulations on carbon reporting and reduction. Businesses are being challenged to do more, but there are major obstacles to doing so. Tracking emissions is hard. The data is fragmented. There is no single approach to reporting. There's limited visibility into the supply chain. This in turn makes it difficult to take action and to comply with sustainability policies and consumer and investor demand. Despite those challenges, more companies are committing to ambitious sustainability goals in the form of net zero targets. Corporate commitments to net zero more than doubled from 2019 to 2020, and now more than 1,900 companies, including at least 20% of the world's largest organizations, with a combined revenue of nearly 12 trillion, have published net zero commitments. But net zero is not just about compliance or a new cost of doing business. Net zero represents a massive new growth opportunity in the form of lower carbon products and services and new offerings to help customers reduce their footprint and get to net zero. With all those growth opportunities, sustainability is increasingly good for business. As we look at the economic data, sustainability measures present incredible economic and market opportunities. Governments and utilities are expected to spend up to $60 billion on energy efficiency technologies and investments by 2028. Precision agriculture is expected to grow to $12 billion in market value by 2025. Climate action in the areas of energy, cities, food and land use, water, and industry could deliver at least $26 trillion in economic benefits through 2030. And the value of the global market for carbon emissions offsets could be worth more than $200 billion by 2050. I think we can all agree that sustainability is important and increasingly presents perhaps the most compelling growth opportunity in a generation. Now let's talk about why Microsoft is the right partner to help you with your sustainability journey. We started our sustainability journey over a decade ago. We've landed important work ever since we set our first carbon emission reduction goal back in 2009. And we've continued to increase our commitments in many areas year on year. The following video will help you to understand more about the challenge with regards to carbon management and Microsoft commitments to the world and to our customers.
The scientific consensus is clear. The world has a huge carbon problem. Humans have released more than 2 trillion metric tons of greenhouse gases into the Earth's atmosphere since the start of the first industrial revolution. And the vast majority of these emissions have occurred since the mid-1950s. This is more carbon than nature can reabsorb. And every year, humanity pumps out more than 50 billion additional tons of greenhouse gases. This blanket of carbon in our atmosphere is heating the planet and changing our climate. And this isn't a problem that lasts just a few years or even a decade. Once excess carbon enters the atmosphere, it can take thousands of years to dissipate. Already, the planet's temperature has risen by 1 degree Celsius. And if we don't curb emissions and temperatures continue to climb, science tells us that the results will be catastrophic. In fact, scientists agree that if we don't do anything, temperatures could rise somewhere between 1.5 and 4.5 degrees Celsius. So what can we do? Well, It starts by understanding and getting real about carbon math. Scientists account for carbon emissions by classifying them into 3 categories or scopes. Scope 1 emissions are the direct emissions that your activities create, like the exhaust from the car you drive. Or, for a business, the trucks it drives to transport its products from one place to another, or the diesel generators it might run. Scope 2 emissions are indirect emissions that come from the production of the electricity or heat you use, like the traditional energy sources that light up your home or power the buildings owned by a business. Scope 3 emissions are the indirect emissions that come from all the other activities in which you're engaged, including the emissions associated with producing the food you eat or manufacturing the products that you buy. For a business, these emission sources can be extensive and must be accounted for across its entire supply chain, from the materials in its buildings, the business travel of its employees, to the full life cycle of its products, including the electricity that customers may consume when using something like a phone, laptop, or gaming console. Given this broad range, a company's Scope 3 emissions are often far larger than its Scope 1 and 2 emissions put together. And this accounting is important because if we're going to avoid the worst aspects of a rapidly changing climate, then the world must reduce its carbon emissions and reach net zero across all scopes. Now, net zero doesn't mean that there will no longer be any carbon emissions at all, but it does mean that the world will need to remove as much carbon as it emits. This will require 2 things. First, we'll need to reduce carbon emissions very substantially over the next few decades. And second, we'll need to remove carbon from the atmosphere, starting with nature-based removal approaches, but ultimately through including new carbon removal technologies, like direct air capture approaches that literally remove carbon from the air. And while the world will need to reach net zero, those of us who can afford to move faster and go further should do so. That's why Microsoft is committing to become carbon negative by 2030, meaning that we'll reduce our emissions by half and remove from the atmosphere more carbon than we emit, including all of our Scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. It's why we're also committing to remove, by 2050, all of the carbon Microsoft has emitted, either directly or by electrical consumption, since it was founded in 1975. Simply put, the stakes are too high for us to not make bold changes now. The world is counting on all of us to act.
In addition to the corporate commitments that Microsoft is making, we're also investing heavily in leading technologies to support our customers' sustainability challenges. We're building capabilities covering carbon, water, waste, and ecosystems, but we're starting with carbon. And in the future, we will continue to bring solutions for both water and waste. Measuring and reducing carbon is hard because most companies' environmental footprint lies beyond their direct activities, which generally known as scopes 1 and 2. In fact, activities that sit upstream or downstream of scopes 1 and 2 comprise 90% of most companies' footprint. That means that you can't achieve net zero unless your employees, your supply chain, and your customers understand their connection to the organization's environmental impact and are proactively thinking about how to reduce it. The journey really has to start with understanding the complete environmental footprint across their entire value chain. The problem is that organizations don't have access to the data that they need to do this. And since you can't manage what you can't measure, sustainability is perhaps the ultimate data problem. So if you're wondering why a software company is positioning itself as a thought leader on sustainability, that's why. Sustainability is a data problem, and we're a data company. Our approach to solving data problems with an open platform and an ecosystem approach is exactly what's required to accurately measure carbon, particularly through value chains, to tackle Scope 3 emissions, the hardest problem of them all. Chief sustainability officers have a major data problem, and they don't have great options for solving it today. They have to pull together data from all across the company, financial, supply chain, operations, customers, and more. And sometimes this data exists in a clean and well-structured form, like an ERP system, but often that data is exported to Excel, from a dated Plant 4 application or is coming in through email. Sustainability teams have to aggregate all of those diverse data sets, which can vary dramatically in quality. Excel is the primary tool by which they manage and manipulate this data. Now, we've seen some really complex spreadsheets, but those spreadsheets lack quality control or a mature workflow around them. This results in low quality data outputs and often immaterial data, which then has to be cut a variety of ways for different reporting standards and metrics. The world, and most importantly, chief sustainability officers, need a better way. We meet today during COP26, the world's most important climate event, where governments and policymakers will commit to a more ambitious sustainability set of targets. Following those targets will be more rules and reporting requirements from some of the world's major economies. As those rules come into force in the coming years, sustainability reporting and the underlying data will require a level of rigor and auditability that is closer to today's financial reporting standards. This means that all of the enterprise-wide and cross-functional data that feeds into today's sustainability reporting will need to be centralized into a new data estate that can support all of the accounting, analytics, and reporting capabilities, but built for third-party auditability and assurance. With Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, we are future-proofing your sustainability data estate for our rapidly changing world. Now with that, I'll play a brief video to more formally introduce you to the Cloud for Sustainability. Then I'll hand it off to Brandon Potter, who will talk you through the product in more detail.
The world faces an extraordinary challenge: to stabilize our climate by building a net zero carbon economy. Through the power of technology, we can break down data silos and give organizations the insights they need to take control of their environmental impact and help solve the world's biggest problems. Introducing Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, a new solution designed to streamline data collection and help you more effectively record, report, and reduce your carbon emissions. It delivers comprehensive, integrated, and automated sustainability insights to accelerate each stage of your sustainability journey. Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability provides a common format to connect data so you can understand and report the impact of your operation and your supply chain in near real time. And it helps identify actions you can take to minimize your footprint, gain efficiencies, and make lasting changes in your organization. It's good for your business, and it's good for the planet. Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. Accelerate your sustainability journey with the power of technology.
Thank you, Alex. We're excited to introduce you today to the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. We initially announced the Cloud for Sustainability back in July at Inspire, our annual partner event. Since then, we have received an enormous amount of interest from customers and partners from around the world. As Alex mentioned, organizations have a huge need to solve this challenge now. Today, we'll take a deeper dive into the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. Microsoft has been helping our customers digitally transform other areas of business for years. And with the Cloud for Sustainability, we are here to help customers accelerate or even begin your sustainability transformation journey. This journey starts, like many other business challenges, with a need to solve deep data challenges, gain rich insights on the data, and take action on those insights. We translate this data, insights, action concept to record, report, and reduce. The Cloud for Sustainability delivers a comprehensive, integrated, and automated solution to managing your carbon footprint. This all starts with Record. The automated data ingestion and dynamic calculation features enable you to replace manual processes with near real-time views of your emissions. You can use our catalog of pre-built connectors or create industry or enterprise-specific connectors to further simplify data collection. Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability uses a common data model to accelerate data integration and give you a more accurate assessment of your carbon impact across scopes 1, 2, and 3. The common data model enables the centralization of emissions-related data in a common format to help streamline data ingestion, calculation, sharing, and reporting. The common data model will also be published independently as part of our existing open-source industry data model libraries. Next up, reporting. The Cloud for Sustainability generates insights to help you address problems and track against your sustainability commitments and regulatory requirements. The solution gives you a complete set of understandable data And from this, you can produce reports on consumption and gauge your progress on meeting your commitments. It enables you to visualize and report accurate, near real-time intelligence about your resource consumption, your environmental impact, and your sustainability progress for stakeholders, regulators, and the public. Consistent visibility into your emissions activity allows you to make adjustments fast, meet strict regulatory requirements, and accelerate the pace of progress. Built-in preparatory reports for agencies such as DEFRA, GRI, and CDP streamline the preparation of quantitative public reporting. Now let's reduce. Because taking action is paramount to any transformation, the Cloud for Sustainability helps you plan your actions and get ahead of the unknowns. Understand what you can do to continue to reduce your emissions footprint, improve business process, and make lasting changes in your organization. Using the solution, you can set and track sustainability targets, such as incremental and long-term goals directly tied to your data, and stay on top of targets with scorecards and insights. You can create impactful reduction strategies using insights and analytics to inform actions. For example, zero in on changes you can make to your operational processes and the buildings and spaces you occupy. Identify opportunities to drive efficiencies and reduce emissions in your supply chains with greater transparency and accountability. Embrace reuse, recycling, and refurbishment of materials towards a circular economy. And lastly, and transition to a clean energy or deploying smart grid infrastructure solutions that continuously integrate energy systems and distributed energy resources. Now let's see it in action and take you through a demo of the Cloud for Sustainability.
Every day, I get the pleasure of helping our customers record, report, and reduce their carbon emissions with the help of Microsoft technology. Working directly with carbon practitioners and reporting analysts helps me understand what keeps organizations from reaching their sustainability goals. All too often, access to data within organizations, changing standards, and lack of meaningful insights stand between organizations and carbon emission reductions. Climate change is a complex problem, and carbon accounting and insights technologies serve as powerful allies toward net zero progress. With these and other challenges in mind, we've created the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability. This new solution helps our customers record emissions-related activities wherever that data is stored, calculate in the most meaningful way for each organization and category, and provide insights that lead to action. Let me use an example of Contoso, a fictitious coffee company, to walk you through the product. I'll show you the features that we've built with our customers' challenges in sustainability reporting and action in mind. As you can see, Contoso is a global company spanning multiple industries and geographies. Sustainability is a priority for them, and they have been using the Cloud for Sustainability. The next area of focus is their growing coffee pod business. So let's take a look at their scorecards and goals. Here, users can create scorecards with custom goals for carbon reduction, specific to each entity they track. These are designed to enable organizations to curate sustainability metrics and track them against key business objectives. Looks like Contoso has a goal to reduce emissions in their coffee pod business by the end of the year. There are two sub-goals, one involving fuel use and another to further reduce market-based emissions. To enable trending insights, Contoso needs activity data imported at the most granular level and as near real-time as possible. Using the Connections view, we can see where the coffee pod business is getting its data. Using filters, we quickly see that we're missing an automated data connector for purchased energy. This creates a delay in calculation and insights, which could impact their market-based emissions target. Let's help Contoso fix this. To prevent future data gaps, let's add an automated connector to the data source that Contoso's pod business uses to track purchased energy and renewables in their factories. Domain-specific connectors will help them quickly map to our common data model in a few clicks, versus spending hours transforming data from various sources. This means Contoso can get activity data from the actual source instead of manually managing in spreadsheets, causing delays and introducing potential human error throughout the process. A specific action that Contoso is taking to reduce carbon emissions related to fuel is migrating their vehicle fleet from traditional petroleum and diesel to cleaner fuels. To track this, we need to convert their mobile consumption data into emissions data. These calculation models can be complex, but with methodologies built right into the cloud for sustainability, calculating emissions becomes a simple process, giving Contoso reliable results they can feel confident about. Each calculation model can be tailored, scheduled, and applied to consumption data by creating a calculation profile, like you see me doing here for Contoso. I'm creating one specific to their pod business for mobile combustion, filtering for just the factories that are part of their reduction program, and scheduling this calculation to run anytime their connections pull in new data. I can even preview the calculation with my actual data and applied emission factors, so I can validate the formula immediately within my workspace. Now that we've recorded applicable emissions using connections and calculations, it's time to see some of the powerful insights. From the analysis page, we'll select Scope 1 and use the built-in views to gain further insights into Contoso's data. They're concerned about their fuel details and are expecting the vehicle fleet fuel migration program to have an impact on this. We can also see what is going well and where they need more work in fuel reduction, giving Contoso actionable next steps. Moving along to Scope 2 and the market-based view, we see that the real-time energy data connection that we added earlier is helping their pod business meet their market-based emissions reduction goal. Since Contoso is no longer searching for invoices and data to import on a periodic basis, they can focus on creating additional programs to accelerate further emissions reductions. Using the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability, customers like Contoso can record, report, and reduce their emissions. Contoso can now clearly see where they are today, have gained confidence that they are aligned to industry best practices, and trust they are on track to reach their sustainability goals. Exploring data to find new insights has never been simpler. We are excited to launch the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability public preview and for organizations to see how it can help in their sustainability journey. In the future, we'll deliver additional calculation and allocation capabilities, double down on intelligent insights, and enable educational and collaboration opportunities all in one place.
Now that you have a better understanding of the powerful capabilities that the Cloud for Sustainability delivers, let's take a look at how we leverage the technologies from across Microsoft to solve the most important challenge organizations are facing today. It all starts with your emission sources. This is found in all of the data related to the activities throughout your entire operations. Each of these data sources are often unique and disparate. By directly connecting to the source systems, we are able to automatically automate the calculation and reporting of emissions generated. The Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability is built with the power, performance, and security of Microsoft Azure and the Microsoft Power Platform. Pre-built connectors leverage Power Query to ingest the activity data into Data Lake using the Sustainability Common Data Model in Synapse. Emissions are calculated in the Power Apps on Dataverse using integrated formulas and coefficients, which can be tailored using the Excel-like expressions found in Power FX. Power BI goals, and insights unlock the data to help report and reduce your emissions footprint. This streamlines reporting to public and regulatory providers and unlocks a growing number of partner and ISV solutions that further help you along your sustainability journey. We're starting with carbon, but in time we'll support water saving and waste reduction programs. The Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability delivers insights to help you accelerate every stage of your sustainability journey. We launched our public preview on October 27th so that you can experience the solution, capture data, analyze data, and turn insights into action while monitoring and managing your end-to-end emissions footprint. At general availability and beyond, you'll have access to a growing set of capabilities to go even further on your journey, faster. We invite you to start your sustainability journey with Microsoft by visiting our sustainability website, signing up for future updates, and trying out the Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability with a free trial. Thank you for joining Alex and I today to learn more about the Cloud for Sustainability and how together we can accelerate your sustainability transformation journey.